The second film picks up pretty much where the first one left off, where you see Gandalf supposedly dying, and they kind of show you a little bit more of what happened. And then they just cut to Sam and Frodo and everybody else that's been involved. So the cast is pretty much the same, and they bring in a lot of new characters in this film, and I would go into them, but I don't know their names to save my life because I just can't pronounce them. So throughout this film, there's going to be three stories going on, and they're going to all kind of collide at the end. So you have the story going on with Aragorn, the elf, and the dwarf, and then you have Pippin and Merry, and then you have Frodo, Sam, and the newcomer Gollum. This story introduces Gollum to us, and Gollum is that little freakish dude who is played brilliantly by Andy Serkis and kind of how he got his career started. Basically, Gollum has this deal where he has kind of like these two personalities, and one of them wants to kill Sam and Frodo, one of them wants to help them, and it's kind of like a battle for him, and Frodo trusts him, but to an extent, and Sam just wants to beat the crap out of him because he doesn't trust him at all. So this film is longer in general. I think it's maybe 5 minutes longer than the first one, the extended version. But the film just feels longer because I think they spent the least amount of time with Sam and Frodo in this film. Like, if to me, they spent like the most time with Aragorn, the elf, and the dwarf. Because of that, because they're spending most of their time with these really large setup scenes that are leading up to this massive battle. The pacing is just really slow. You really feel like it is 3 hours. The movie is not bad. It's not as good as the first one in my opinion, but it's still good. I mean, it's the middle one, so you don't really have any, climactic stuff here. You do have an ending battle, which really has two parts. For the most part, this is kind of like its own standalone film. Peter Jackson, who made a little speech before the film started, was saying how when they were writing the second screenplay, it was hard because he said it's easy to shoot the beginning of a film and it's easy to film the end of a film, but filming the middle stuff is hard. And so they kind of tailored a screenplay so that there was like this central story to the middle one, so that it wasn't just in that realm where it kind of fit the entire trilogy. So the second one kind of has a story of its own, but it does, I think, as a whole, fit in there somewhere with the entire story. But I don't know, I'm confusing myself now, so I guess I'll just stop there. The acting is just as good. The special effects are also good. The issues that I have with this film kind of go back to the first one. The action, once again, a little bit up close, although they do have a lot more wide angles, especially on the battle sequences. And some of the comedy, they had a lot more comedy in this film, and it wasn't for a lot of it, but there were some cases where there seemed to be comedy that seemed a little bit forced, and I wasn't laughing as hard as I thought I would be. Other problems I had were just kind of the pacing, because it seemed like a longer film, and even though it was a longer film, it just seemed longer just because they weren't spending as much time with Frodo and Sam. So as a whole, I'm going to give this film 3 out of 5 stars. This is worth seeing.